up there, unlatch that and get in those doors as well. If you accidentally left the French doors unlocked, had the front door locked. Let's take a look at some video from inside now. We go inside, you see to the right, that's the normal door, and to the left, those are those French doors I was talking about. It's like double wide. You can see from the ground, you could gain access to that if you were climbing up. So I'm wondering if the doors are unlocked. Now, let's go around. We're at the back door. Here we go. Okay. There's the front door. Okay. Let's go to the back now. Let's go to the back. Okay. You see on the bottom there, it looks like it's almost like a basement. That's a window. That is not a door. The only door is what goes up those steps to that door. Now, the doors in this house appear to have the codes, the buttons that you push, the numbers, rather than the traditional key entry. It may also have a key entry as a backup, I'm not sure, but you definitely can use a punch code here. So any number of people sometimes can get access to a punch code, vendors, etc., friends, neighbors. You know, people may know the code to your house from one time or another. Something else I want you to look at here is to the left is
folks, we also want to aware you of hackers. All right. Hackers can also get your code. They can also hack your security system and watch every move you make, everything you do. Technology is actually killing Americans now and has now become a tool for the devil. So keep that in mind. Yeah, it's true. You like Vinny saying here from Court TV, a family member could have had the code, someone else got it. They could have wrote it down on a piece of paper and someone took it. You know, numerous ways these people could have got in, or they could have just left the door open and the guy walked right in. We talked about that last night on this channel, that this could have been a random guy that was looking for the right house and got lucky and there was a window open, a door, whatever, and he got right in. That's true. He might not have any connection to the family. It's too soon to tell. Let's continue to watch this.
A gated fence. So to get into this back courtyard area of the home, you can get there from the front by going through the gate. But if you are trying to get there from the back side of the home, let's take a look at the garage now in the fenced-in backyard. Okay, so now the house is behind you. You're looking at the garage. That door goes into the garage, which leads to the alleyway behind the home. But there's no doors on the fence. So if you're breaking into this house coming from the alleyway, you're going to have to jump the fence or somehow break into or have the combination to the garage, go through the garage and then through that door across this patio to get to those back doors. So those are the different ways. You got 3 ways into the house, 3 doors at least: the back door, the front door, and those.
Now, from what I can see in this photo, the guy's got a double lock on the garage door. That looks like a steel door, maybe. It possibly could be a steel door. But on the garage, he's got a regular lock, and then it looks like a deadbolt on it. So the guy would have had to break into the garage. Now, I'm going to tell you something else. People have these devices and they go around, they can open your garage door. Right? All it is a frequency, and they can get right into your garage door. And he would have been able to access the backyard. If he got into the garage, then he would have been able to open that door. All right, let's keep going.
French doors, which are also in the front. Let's bring back in our think tank, Stacey Honowitz, Ali Benevento, and Sydney Rushing. Okay, punch codes, Ali. So you don't need a key. You just need the numbers. Your thoughts about how someone, if it home 2 a.m., 2:30 in the morning.
And gets into the home without any.
Now, folks, keep in mind also between 2 o'clock, 5 o'clock is usually, from what we found out, the time that these people had parties. There was parties before there at Dr. Spencer's between them hours. So keep that also in mind.
Anyone hearing them. So unless they know the code, they would have to be standing there trying different codes, happen to guess the right one without anyone hearing anything. I mean, you have cleaning help, you have, like you said, landscapers. There are a number of people who might have the code to your home. I just find it really hard to believe that unless
neighbor
it's someone
too.
They knew,
a trusted neighbor,
perhaps. But why? The next question, Vinny, right? Why? What would be the motive for someone to go in the middle of the night and murder these two people while their children were sleeping? Nothing about this makes any sense. But no forced entry is really interesting because unless they had that code or a key or they were invited in,
yeah,
it just looks
that's when we get back to that banging on the door, right? If it's someone like that who's a stranger, Sydney, maybe it wakes up Monique or it wakes up Spencer, and they're the kind of people who may like, hello, can I help you? What's wrong, right? They could be nice people, and then suddenly someone's inside their house, and maybe they run upstairs to protect the kids. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. So with this one, it's it's a little bit odd because again, there's no forced entry, but with two little kids inside, it's not, I don't think, normal for a parent to respond in a way like, oh, someone's just banging on my door at 2:30 at night. I don't know who it is. I'm not expecting anyone, and for them to not call 911. My thing is when you show the video or the pictures of like how the houses are, they're all very close together. How did no one hear the gunshots? Gunshots are very loud, even from a distance.
Exactly. We also said that the other day on this channel. The houses were right on top of each other. How do you not hear a full clip from a 9mm going off? Now, someone in another channel that I was in last night brought up a good point. Silencer. Well, I don't know. On a 9mm, I don't know. It'd be kind of hard to get. They're illegal here in America. You're not allowed to have a silencer now. Although people do make their own silencers, but that's possible. A silencer. Now, if the kids didn't wake up, now you got a full clip of a 9mm over 10 rounds, 8 rounds from a 9mm going off in a house like this. Where was the kids' bedrooms? And I'm pretty sure that these children probably were woken up before this occurred. If not from the struggle of an intruder trying to get in, or as Vinny and these people said, they wake up, they go down, open the door, ask, you need help with, the guy makes his way in, screaming. I'm leading to believe that these kids were woken up out of a dead of a night in a horror film, especially if weapons were used and loud gunshots. So that's another thing to keep in mind. And I do agree with this lady. The houses are very close. Were they occupied? And why didn't anybody call the police? Say, I just heard gunshots. But here's another thing to keep in mind. There is a police camera not 4 houses away on the corner that it might have been connected to this new system that we got where it looks for gunshots within the community. If it hears something that it thinks it's a gunshot, it moves the camera to that area. So hopefully this system had that. Even if it was just a microphone, we'll see if that video detects gunshots going off. We'll have to see it and wait. Let's continue with this video.
You can, hear them in kind of like a firework. So that's kind of signals to me is there a silencer involved? And that, if there is, that makes this a little bit more personal, because I haven't seen anything where any neighbors have said like, oh yeah, we heard the gunshots, we've heard XYZ, which I think with how close those houses are, you should definitely be able to hear something. So I think that takes a little turn there, and something to potentially think about.
Stacy?
And they were also in their bed too.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're all sitting here and
they
we're
were in their bed.
What, Allie? I'm sorry. What?
Sorry, Stacy. I was saying,
oh, someone's just banging on my door at 2:30 at night. I don't know who it is. I'm not expecting anyone, and for them to not call 911. My thing is when you show the video or the pictures of like how the houses are, they're all very close together. How did no one hear the gunshots? Gunshots are very loud. Even from a distance, you can, hear them in kind of like a firework. So that's kind of signals to me is there a silencer involved? And that, if there is, that makes this a little bit more personal, because I haven't seen anything where any neighbors have said like, oh yeah, we heard the gunshots, we've heard XYZ, which I think with how.
I'm going to say this was a beautiful home. I mean, Dr. Spencer, them are French doors in the front, although there's no patio to go out onto. I mean, that's beautiful how you can open the French doors right into your front room. The front of the house has the French doors right there. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. But as they said, very easy to get into. If they were unlocked, someone could climb up there. But the only thing did they have a security system, and was it engaged? I'm here to tell you folks, if you're going to spend thousands and thousands in a security system and not activate it, you are wasting your thousands and thousands of dollars a year for your security system. It's useless. And that goes back to the John Ramsey case. Everybody gets pissed at me. But I bring up the facts. The fact is you're worth $350 million, and you don't engage you don't fix a broken window. There's reports that people would drive by your house late at night, and you would have the windows cracked in the middle of winter to run electrical cords out and everything. That you very rarely, you left your front door open. The screen door was locked, but the front door was open. It must be nice to have that much money, and it must be nice to feel that secure where you think you can go to bed and leave your windows and doors open and everything, and you're worth that much money. You got children in the house. It's a waste of money. And then everybody's, how could this happen? How could it happen? Look at the case. It's easy when you leave your front doors open.
How close those houses are, you should definitely be able to hear something. So I think that takes a little turn there, and something to potentially think about.
Stacy?
and they were also in their bed too.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're all sitting here and we're
in their
All right. Hold on. Now I'm having troubles. All right, there we go. All right, I'm going to stop the video here to look real quick to see if we can see any cameras on the back of these houses. And I'm not seeing nothing. Now, I don't know if this is a ring cam right here. I'm not sure of that. Or here on the screen door on the back. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But I'm looking over here to see if I can see any cameras. Now, this looks like a back porch light. Now, right up here in the corner of this white house, that might be a camera on the gutter there. Now, I'm not sure, but there's something there on that gutter right there. Now, if you also look down to this house down here, it's possible that that might be a camera right there on this pole that's coming up around the side of the house. Now, that might be electrical wire pole. Well, matter of fact, it does look like a wire pole, like what's on the side of this house. But up here might have been a camera for this house. Let's continue here. Move this down.
Bed.
What, Allie? I'm sorry. What?
Oh, let's back up there a little bit. Dang it, too much.
Here
Somebody
and
say they were
we're
in their bed.
All right, now here's from the other side of the property. And I'm not seeing, and that what we're seeing over here on this house is that telephone wire coming, and it looks like it's coming to the top of the gutter. So what we seen on the other side, which I thought might have been a camera, actually might be a telephone line coming to that house. It looks like they got power lines running to it too. Now I'm looking over here at this brick building, which appears to be condemned. Maybe a couple windows boarded up. It could be still running. It looks like a warehouse or something. And we got a street lamp here. So I'm not seeing no cameras here. Maybe someone else on the other side of the alleyway had a camera. Very interesting. Very interesting. And folks, just because you have a wood fence around your property, people get these fences and I feel so much safer. It ain't nothing to jump over a fence. And it ain't nothing. They'll check the gate on the fence to see if it's unlocked and then just use the gate to get in. Nothing is 100%. Don't put up a privacy fence and think you're safe from the bad guy, because you're not.
what, Allie?
Now, I'm going to tell you something right here, up in the corner of the Spencer's house, appears to me to look like a camera. So he had a ringtone in the front. Now, right off of the gutter here on the easement here, the soffit, it does appear that there is some kind of a camera. And I don't see no wires going to it like what we see on this house and the next house. I don't see any wires going to this house. So it's possible they had an underground electric system where the power was ran underground to the house and then connected, instead of coming like these older houses here. Well, they might not be older, but you could see the power lines running right to the house, right up the side of the house and right to the gutter. But on this house, nothing. So that would make me believe that what I'm seeing off of the soffit here is a camera. Possibly.
Allie, I'm sorry. What?
Sorry, Stacey. I was saying
I didn't hear what-
he was found in his
Oh.
bed. They weren't in the doorway letting someone in the house. They were in their bedroom, correct? So they were found dead in the bedroom.
They ended up in the bedroom. The only thing I think about being back upstairs is you come downstairs, you're forced upstairs, or you're running up to save your wife, or whatever's going on. But you are correct. The way it was described is that Spencer was hanging off of the bed. Go ahead, Stacey.
Yeah.
Look, I think that everything we're doing right now is everything the police are doing. They're kind of, hypothetically speaking, what if, because we don't have any concrete clues. We have a coded front door. You've got to try to figure out who would have that code. I don't know if they would give the code to their house, to the landscaper, to the, maybe to a trusted neighbor, but that bears the question, what kind of issues did they have with the neighbor? If they were taken upstairs, if somebody was banging at the door, and if they are these type of people, once they opened the door to see what was going on, if they were pushed in, just like the UPS case that went on a couple weeks ago. So, and was there a silencer? Why didn't somebody? All of these things that we're picking apart now is everything that the police and law enforcement is trying to do. And until they have some kind of real solid lead to go on, I think this is what we're going to find out. So, bits and pieces. That's why, Vinny, it's so important that you stay on this case and that it stays in the news so that stuff can come out.
When we come back, big trial getting ready to go here on Court TV.
All right, folks, there you go. More info on this case in Ohio. Could it have been a random guy? Yeah. Could it have been a family member, a neighbor, a disgruntled worker, a jealous husband? Yeah, all of above. And they are all suspects until the crime is solved. Hate to say it. Neighbor, everything is on the table right now, and don't take anything off of the table until you're 100% sure that you can. But we are finding out real fast in America and in 2026 that you end up these cases are coming 360 to what we've seen in the beginning of it, that we were on right. And it gets led all over the place, but in the end we come right back to where we were the first time we got it right. So keep an open mind. Anything is possible in the world we live in. Anything, and nothing is 100%. An alarm system will help, depending on what kind of situation it is. And trust the people that you give codes to and keys to, because we're finding even family members are killing family members. It's just horrible. It's horrible. My condolences to the families of this, but the case has just begun, and we're waiting on the police video to come out on the camera that was right down the street. That might have picked something up or heard something, and we'll get more information when it comes out. And like I said last night, we were in a whole bunch of chats last night talking. Did they have a silencer? I'm not going to rule it out. They're illegal in America, but the guy could have made his own. You see them all over the internet already. So it's possible a silencer was used, but let's wait and see if any of the neighbors come out and say they heard gunshots. And let's see what this police camera that was right down the street picks up. And we'll see. We'll take it from there. Till then, they're all suspects. Even the family. Calls came from that house before. A lot of people are saying that is her on the phone. a lot of people are saying, no, that wasn't her. It sure does sound like her. And there might have been trouble, but not with her. Maybe her ex-husband. Maybe Mo's ex-husband. Possible. You got to keep everything on the table. Sister's husband or something, jealous worker. Also, Facebook, their social media. Were they hacked? Was their phones hacked? And the killer knew the code. That's possible. What I don't like seeing is these professionals saying it's impossible. Nothing is impossible if you have the knowledge. So I wouldn't be saying it's impossible because they keep showing us that it is possible. All right. I don't think I've seen anything more on Vinny talking about this. There's some other stuff coming up that Vinny's going to be talking about, but and you got to look at everybody. You got to look at everybody in this because you don't know. A lot of people are saying it's kind of weird how people called before the murder. I guess one of his coworkers called. And she was crying before or something like that. Or, you got to look at the workers. A lot of people are saying that was fishy, that he was supposed to be here at a certain time and he was a couple minutes late. And boom, they already called. Someone called. They were crying already before they even knew what happened at the house. So you got to take that in consideration, This guy just could have been sick. The internet could have been down, a tower down, and he wasn't able to call in or whatever, or family emergency. But for some reason, the people that called from the office already suspected that it wasn't good. I think one of them was crying already. So that was very interesting. Hold on, I'm looking to see if there's anything new on it. Oh. All right, this was just released, folks. Let's check this out. New body cam in Ohio dentist and wife murder. Whoa. I say whoa. Did I post this in my chat or description? Yeah, I think I did. Let me check this out. Oh, crap. I better get Benny's over there, too. All right, let's check this out and see what we got.
Who did? And who is this person of interest seen outside their home the morning of the murders? And why did officers initially investigate the wrong home in the first place? This is Scandal, presented by...
They were at the wrong house. Holy macaroni. Are you kidding me? This is unbelievable. Let's watch this one more time. Ooh, this guy's got square shoulders, it looks like. It's like a hunchback or something. Look at the shoulders, almost like he's got a hanger in his jacket or something. I don't know if you folks can see that or not. Look at that. That's pretty freaky. It's definitely someone taller. You see that? How the shoulders come up? It's almost like a hanger. Pretty square shoulder. All right, let's watch this.
Seen outside their home the morning of the murders. And why did officers initially investigate the wrong home in the first place? This is Scandal, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Sierra Gillespie. It's now been 10 days since the murders of Spencer and Monique Tepe, the Ohio dentist and his wife who were found shot and killed in their own home just steps away from their young children. And while we've learned more since the first time we covered this case, we still have so many questions. Like, why was a 911 call made from the Tepe's neighbors just days before their deaths?
Somebody's knocking on my door. I think they're trying to get in. They're banging on my door.
If you're interested in cases like this one, we're talking top true crime news, body cams, and even deep dives into some of the most scandalous of cases, then make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so that you don't miss. Morning of December 30th, 2025, multiple 911 wellness check calls were made regarding the Tepe family. And we've reported on them and we'll play them again. But the newest info we have is when first responders initially replied to the Tepe home, they went to the wrong address.
Obviously, we received a call for a well-being check related to the two victims involved in this case. There was an officer that was dispatched to go to that well-being check. Unfortunately, he did respond to the wrong location initially. He went to the wrong location, and in him believing that he was at the right location, he did everything that he was supposed to do. Knocked on the doors, checked the backyard, did all those things, but it was not the right location.
That's
Uh-oh. That is a serious problem. So the cops are called. We're out there. They're banging on the doors. No one answers. People show up from his work that, let me remind you, they call and say they're at the house. They are 75 miles away. They call the dispatch to report this. And dispatch tells them, we just left there. There's no one at the house. So we know this. They must have been hauling butt from where he worked to that house, 75 miles away. They get there and call, and dispatch says, we just left there a few minutes ago. There's no one there. We knocked on the front door and back door. Okay, they were at the wrong property. But what I'm saying, how did they get 75 miles away to that house within minutes is my question. Let's continue.
Chief Elaine Bryant of the Columbus Division of Police. She owns up to this mistake and says the bodies of Monique and Spencer were found shortly after this. And honestly, it's a pretty big mistake. Two young children were found inside the home with their parents' bodies, and police went to the wrong house. We now have video of all of this too. Here's the start of the body cam. The officer walks up to the house and you can hear him whistling, clearly without any urgency. The officer knocks on the door and then starts whistling again. This is a new angle now, showing the officer try to knock again and still continuing to whistle. There's one more knock, and then the video just ends. We're going to talk about this more during the interview, but first let's talk about Spencer and Monique.
By the power vested in me by the Universal Life Church and
All right, so they get the wrong address, which it don't shock me. GPS and everything is so outdated and everything. It's very possible they got the wrong address. We've seen that many of times, folks. you know, how calm and cool. And it sounds like that police officer was having one heck of a day. You know, but hey, what can you do? Things get mixed up. Nothing's 100%.
By the state of Ohio, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride.
39-year-old Monique and 37-year-old Spencer were just 1 month away from their 5-year wedding anniversary. They actually exchanged vows in their Columbus, Ohio home back in 2021, and the ceremony looked breathtaking. From the video, you can really tell the love they shared for each other.
Dear Momo, I feel so lucky to be up here with you today. You've grown to become my best friend, and together we're surrounded by friends and family who are fortunate to be able to say the same. We're so lucky. Our support system is immense, and you embracing Larry, my crazy group of friends, and my loud family like you have means the world. I vow to support you.
His crazy group of friends. Very interesting. It could be nothing. We all have crazy friends, depending on what he means by crazy.
To believe in you and to encourage you. I vow to provide for you. I vow to never stop loving you and to always keep working on us. And lastly, I vow to do my best to always keep making you laugh because your smile is my favorite thing. I love you.
Spencer, what can I say? From day one, I knew you were something special. I had quite a journey to get to you. Countless bad bumble dates, wrong relationships, and waterfalls of tears.
Spencer was fluent in Spanish and deeply committed to serving others. He gave back through Big Brothers Big Sisters, a huge Bengals and Buckeyes fan, and lived life with energy, laughter, and generosity. Monique was a loving, patient, and joyful mother whose warmth defined her. With a background in childhood education, she brought care and intention into everything she did. She was an excellent baker, a thoughtful planner, and someone who found joy in bringing people together. Her kindness made people feel instantly at home. Together, Spencer and Monique shared a beautiful, strong, and deeply happy relationship. They loved to travel, to laugh, and to build a life rooted in love. They were proud parents of 2 beautiful children and their beloved golden doodle, and they created a home filled with warmth, happiness, and connection. Spencer and Monique shared 2 kids, a 4-year-old daughter and a 1-year-old son. A friend told People magazine they were great parents. They hosted play dates. They were involved in the community. They were the kind of neighbor up for his early morning appointments. He worked as a dentist at Athens Dental Depot about an hour south of Columbus. And according to his boss, Dr. Mark Valrose, it was very strange for Spencer to be late. But it was even more strange for Spencer to just no call, no show. Mark was in Florida at the time, so he wasn't able to check in on Spencer himself. So knowing this.
Okay, did she say he worked about an hour away? Now, when did dispatch get the first call from his coworkers? Because it's funny because we're listening to some of the dispatch stuff and someone calls and they're like, yeah, we just had someone out there. They just left and they knocked on the front door and back door. But how did they get, if they call from the, I'm trying to figure this out. It's very weird. An hour away, if someone called, I mean, so at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, he's supposed to be there to work. He don't show up. These people get in their cars and they head that way. When was the first call that came in? When was the second call from someone from his work? You know, very, very interesting.
Was out of the ordinary, he called 911.
He is always on time. This is very out of character. and we can't get in touch with his wife, which is probably the more concerning thing.
That's when officials responded to the wrong address. The responding officer checked everything out. Everything looked fine, so they left. Here's Police Chief Elaine Bryant again.
Approximately about maybe 40 minutes later, we had received another call because the coworkers of one of the victims.
All right, 40 minutes later, they got another call from the coworkers. So the one dispatcher that we heard said, yeah, someone was out there, they just left, yada. Was there a 40-minute span, just left 40 minutes ago? That, was what dispatcher said that? And when did the calls come in?
Victims stated that they had not reported to work and they were really concerned, so they went to the house. And that's when subsequently the bodies were found of the two victims as it relates to this case.
Those 911 calls she's talking about are harrowing.
I can hear kids inside, and I swear I think I heard one yell, but we can't get in.
There's a body. He's laying next to his bed, off of his bed, and there's blood.
Once inside the home, investigators found Spencer and Monique's bodies in the second-story bedroom. They'd both been shot and killed. Thankfully, though, both of their children were left unharmed. But right away, the investigation went into overdrive. How does something like this happen and why? And right away, a few things stood out to investigators. First, there was no sign of forced entry. Nothing major was missing from the house either, so it didn't look like a robbery gone wrong. There were also multiple shell casings found at the scene, but no murder weapon. Investigators have since narrowed down a timeline, believing the Teppes were killed between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. on December 30th. And that leads to the next clue we have, this video. Investigators haven't said much except that this is a person of interest and they need help identifying them. The video begins with this person on the right side of your screen. You can see that they're wearing a dark colored jacket with a hood, almost lumbering as they walk. In a new view, you can see only the person's legs as they walk by. The camera looks almost smudged from snow or rain at this angle. Once again, the angle switches, and you can still mostly see the person's legs, but pay attention to the way they walk. We'll talk more about it during the interview. In this next clip, you can see the person touch their head almost like they're trying to make sure the hoodie is covering their face as much as possible. And you'll also note the person never looks directly into the camera. But seconds after...
Well, maybe he knew the cameras were there. And if you look at that footage, it almost looks like maybe he had a beard or something, or a mustache or beard. So, very interesting. I want to hear the video of the call before all that. A neighbor called and reported something going on. But, let's see what we got here.
After this, the video ends. Columbus PD are calling this a person of interest rather than a straight suspect.
Evidence is going to give us that information as we continue to dig, as we continue to gather as much as we can. Right now, we know that they were there. So right now, what we want is for people to be able to give us more information so that we can then collect that evidence and make a determination on whether that's the case.
So there's that video, but there's also video of a crime camera from across the street from the Teppe home. We don't know what's on that video, though, because police haven't released it publicly.
We're still reviewing a lot of video. We're still looking at a lot of evidence. Again, the information that we're releasing, we want to be as transparent as possible and release that. But there are some things we're just not going to be able to share at this time related to the investigation. But what I can tell you is that we are looking at so much video information and so much content that we're still combing through. So we don't have all the answers.
So still a few questions. What's on that police camera video? Who was the person in the video? And who is this person on this 911 call?
Hello? Hi, this is 911. We just got a hang-up call. Is everything okay?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm okay.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm okay. Sorry.
This is audio from a 911 call that reportedly came from the Teppe's house back on April 15th in the middle of the night.
Okay. So this is footage that we already heard of the voice. Now, police are saying that it came from that house, whether it was a cell phone or whatever. Whoever made that call, it pinged inside that house. So that's what the authorities are saying. Now, was it her? I don't know. It sounds like her. And that was a topic in a lot of chats last night. Does it sound like her? To me, it sounds like her. But if there was a party going on that late at night, then it could have been someone else. But whoever made that call, it came from inside the house. And it's a pattern because these murders occurred about the same time that these phone calls was made. So did they party like that? I don't know. That time of night? I don't know. Maybe it's possible.
At first, it was thought to be Monique on the line, but her brother-in-law told People magazine, whatever Fox News showed, I think it just maybe pinged at their address. That's probably a neighbor. It's so obviously not Monique's voice. It's not them. This same brother-in-law also appeared on the Surviving the Survivor podcast, actually alongside today's scandal guest, Tom Smith. And Tom's going to talk about this during the interview, but essentially, the brother-in-law said Monique and Spencer have a lot of parties. It could have been a party goer who just had too much to drink and called 911. So we're still unclear who this person is, but this is what they said.
Okay, well, it sounds like you're crying. Do you need police, paramedics, or anything?
No, I'm okay. I promise. I'm just emotional. I'm okay. I don't need nothing.
Well, can I ask what had you called 911 in the first place? Like, were you having an argument with
Me and my
somebody?
man got into it, but I'm okay. I promise.
Did anything ever get physical?
No.
You guys were just arguing, nobody hit each other?
Yes.
Okay. All right, man. Well, I have the information here. I can go ahead and tell the officers to cancel hitting over to your address there.
Yes.
If anything changes, call us back.
Okay.
All right,
I'm sorry.
There's another 911 call in the mix too, but this one came on December 19th, just 11 days before the Teppes were murdered. This call came from a neighbor who lives about a 3-minute walk from the Teppe family home. Now, she called 911 at 2:31 a.m. for someone banging on her door. This is the entire call.
What's the emergency?
Somebody's knocking on my door. I think they're trying to get in. They're banging on my door.
Okay, someone's banging and knocking. Do you know who this is?
No. I'm scared.
Do you have a description of them?
No, I can't see any face from upstairs.
Have you asked them what they want or if they need something?
No.
Okay, what's your name? All right, I've got it sent up for someone banging and knocking on the door. If anything escalates or changes, give us a call back and let us know. We'll get officers there as soon as we can.
And that's where we are right now. We don't have any publicly named suspects, no known motive, and still so many questions. So as police can...
So the neighbor called. Someone was banging on their door, but the date ain't matching up. So that might be somebody in that area that was just a nut job. It's possible. And the guy's just a random guy around there, a nut job. Yeah. And he just got lucky and got in the house. It's possible. He might have walked and got lucky and was doing exactly what this lady that just called said, banging on people's doors. And I don't know, maybe he got lucky and the door was open and he walked in and these people were the victims. It's possible. I'm not going to take it off of the table. Let's keep going.
Continue their investigation. They're asking for your help.
We leave no stone unturned. We're investigating it, but there's only so much that we can share at this point. We released a video of the person of interest that we're looking for, the person that we know that was in the area at that time. We're asking the community, we're asking the public,
thanks,
if you have any information,
getting that.
if you think you know anything about this person, please contact us. Please call us. You can email us. You can call us. You can call Crime Stoppers. Even if you don't think it's something that's relevant in that moment, it may have been something you saw last week. It may have been something that you saw the day before. It could be relevant to this case. Please reach out. Please let us know. So we are asking for tips. We have received numerous tips as it relates to this case, but we do not have at this moment a suspect that we have identified.
Meanwhile, an outpouring of
Wow.
support has been shared for the Tepe family. A GoFundMe page was created to raise money for the children. A message on the page describes Monique and Spencer's relationship and the love they had for each other. It reads, "Their presence was as big as their hearts. Monique's charm and infectious smile lit up every room. She was warm with a strength that inspired everyone around her. Spencer was the soul of every gathering, grand in personality, yet calm, steady, and kind. Together, they were truly remarkable inside and out. They were a solid pair with a bright future. They were the proud parents of 2 beautiful children, and every day they showed up with unwavering love and devotion to their family. The abrupt loss of Spencer and Monique has changed daily life in ways that are still unfolding. This fund exists to help provide stability and care for their children and the immediate family members who are supporting them during this time." Just days ago, we reported this page had raised about $132,000. That was 4 days ago. At the time of this recording, the page has now raised more than one. Today's guest for some more insight. It's a friend of the show, retired NYPD detective Tom Smith. Tom, as always, great to have you on. And I want to pick your brain starting with the newest info we have right now. So we know that there was a wellness call made to the Tepe's house, that an officer went there, everything was fine, they left. New info turns out that this officer actually responded to the wrong address, the wrong home altogether. What do you make of that?
Yeah, it's pretty disturbing because, you want 911 operators to be precise in where they're sending officers. And if you listen to all these 911 calls, there was a big disconnect and problem with the 911 operator. She seemed very dismissive, very kind of annoyed that she was kept on getting the same phone calls, which you can't do. They have to understand when people are panicked and they're thinking of something, 911 is their lifeline. So you have to take every call seriously. And she kind of didn't. And, because of being a little lax in what she thought this was, gave out the wrong address and the wrong information. And that's very dangerous to do,
Well, this guy is right. It is very dangerous to do. And now she's become a suspect because, I was in other chats last night, and that topic came up. Why was the person so rude? And I kind of went to bat for her, probably because she's had 7, 8 calls of the same place, same property. But that's still, she works. You can't hold a grudge. You can't say, "Oh, these people keep bugging me. I'm going to send the police somewhere else." You can't do that because that makes you look suspicious or that you're trying to cover up something. Why didn't they send them to the right address? Was it dispatch that got the address wrong? Or was it the police officer that but you have to check into that, right? Was there any police connection with this family of Dr. Spencer or any of his friends? Crazy friends is what he said in his video that he made about him and his wife, the marriage or whatever. So you have to take that in consideration. So there's a police camera right across the street from the house. So I would imagine it picked up gunshots at 2:00 in the morning or 2:30 or whenever this occurred. If not, then it's possible they had a silencer. And whenever you enter a silencer into something, now you are entering in professional hits or just a crazy that has been killing a lot of people and getting away with it because he's got a silencer and you can't hear the murders occurring. That's possible.
Let's say the perp was still on the scene. Now you're letting that go. because you're sending officers to the wrong address. And that's where it gets dangerous. But it's concerning, because like I said, you want everything to be right and you want the proper response to get to the location.
And to your point, it's time wasted here. I'm sure that.
Well, this guy's right. What if the perp was the one that called? Right? He leaves. Police didn't show up there. He calls, or that's true. That could have. It's possible. It's possible. Or the guy could have still been in the house. That's true. Faster police get there, the better off you are. And you have to see if this is a common thing within that police department or that dispatcher. I'm not trying to get anyone in trouble, but you would have to see, has this happened before with that dispatcher? Or has it happened before with that police officer where they're always getting the wrong address? Showing up somewhere where they shouldn't be is my question. And I would also be looking into that. There could be a pattern there. Well, this person, we got a call, something bad happened there, but the police showed up at a different address. This might be a pattern. All right, let's continue to listen.
This disconnect between the 911 dispatch and the officer and the address that was given. I'm sure it wasn't on purpose. We've all had days where we were just kind of like on autopilot with our jobs, but you can't be when it comes to something like this. And it turned out to be a horrific crime scene right at the end of the year. And now we're pushing into almost week 2 or 3 of January. We still don't have any answers. I guess that leads into my next question here. There was some new video that was released of a person of interest, and I watched the video. Now, it could be one of two things. I mean, the person's in a black hoodie. You don't really see their face. Were they trying to cover themselves up? Or is it that it's in the Midwest? We're in winter. It's freezing cold outside. I've had my hood up just trying to stay warm. I mean, what do you make from the video?
Well, the video is what it is. And you made a great point. Like I said, you look at it the way it is. But me looking at it is a little different than maybe somebody else. And here's a couple of things that really struck me. When people want videos out there, they are so keyed on, oh, we can't see his face. I want to see their face. And you don't necessarily need that because people can be identified by everyday actions that they cannot cover up. And that's their walk, an arm swing, a head tilt, the way their feet are. In this instance, this individual's pigeon-toed. So that's a point that you can't cover up.
Well, we got it right on this channel again last night. I called him and said he looks like he's pigeon-toed, one of his feet or something. So that's something to go off. It also looks to me like maybe he's keeping his head down and chin down, because it's possible this guy might have a beard. And he's got the beard tucked inside the jacket and the jacket over it. And that's why he keeps his chin down. Now, it's also possible he knew that there was cameras in that area.
When you're just walking. The other thing that was very striking with this video, Sierra, is the last frame of the video. This individual intentionally covers himself up and turns away from the camera very intentionally. So that shows me one of two things. Either he knows the area and he knows there's a camera there and he's intentionally covering his head up even more, or someone else is walking near him that spooks him and he covers himself up and kind of, turns away from that particular area. So if I'm running this investigation and I notice that, I want to timestamp that particular frame, put it out to the public and see if anyone else was in that area during this time and could identify or see something where this individual went. And the other part, not to go too long, but
keep going.
The other part in this is, where's the other videos? Everyone has a camera on their front door, on their store, traffic intersection.
Sir, I imagine there is tons of footage yet, but the police haven't gone through it all yet. I do believe you're right, sir. There's tons of footage of this guy. And this is how we're going to pinpoint if this is the guy, is that police camera and microphone. If it picks up gunshots at a certain time, and then we see this guy walking 9 out of 10 times, that's probably our guy. And that's why we are waiting on the police camera that was across the street that hopefully had the new system in it where it determines where gunshots are coming from and focuses on that area. Now, even if this is just a camera that the police got out there across the street from the house, we can determine, okay, here's where we hear the gunshots. 10 minutes later, this guy comes walking out of the alley. Bingo. There's a good chance that that's our guy. This guy could have lived in one of the areas there. He could have lived in an apartment complex down the alley. He could have, we don't know. Also, we'll be looking at cars, vehicles that left that area at a certain time after them gunshots rang out, or after this guy was spotted on a camera. We'll also be looking at other cameras within the neighborhood, businesses, gas stations, and they will pinpoint this guy. It just takes time. That's all. Time and manpower.
All of that. You have him in one particular area. Where's the rest of it? Where did he go from there? So these are all parts that, me running this would be very concerned on and pinpointing.
There's also reports that there was a police camera right in that vicinity too. And actually the police chief has been asked about it. That video hasn't been released. I'm sure that they have looked at it. But this is another one of the reasons that I like to have you on, Tom, because everything you just said are things that I did not pick up on at all watching the video. Talking about him being pigeon-toed, the way, the cadence of which you walk or how you hold your arms or whatever it may be, things that we just instinctively do and don't think about ourselves are identifiers. And that kind of leads into my next question. If this person isn't already somebody the police know, they're like, oh yeah, it's Joe down the street who walks like that, whatever. How do we find out who it is? Is it up to the people who know this person to be on Instagram, watching Scandal online, whatever it may be, to identify that guy?
Yeah, even the guy himself. Listen, if I see my body, my face or whatever on a video, I'm calling the police right away saying, hey, this was me. I was walking home from a bar that night. I don't even know what's going on or whatever it might be. And that brings me to my next point of the police not releasing other things. They may very well have a lead with them.
Well, Tommy is right. Mr. Smith is right. If I seen this video and that was me, exactly what he said. I'd be calling the police. That was me. I left the bar and I got an alibi. They can tell you I left, but that still wouldn't take him off of the table, because if the murders occurred, he would still be a suspect when them gunshots rang out. And then you would have to ask him, did you hear any gunshots? If this guy didn't hear any gunshots or whatever, no, I didn't hear nothing. Well, that's fishy, right there. So, yeah, we got to see that police camera or hear it and see if we can hear. We also have to take in consideration that there's tons of cameras around there. Did any of them pick up gunshots, meaning ringtones or anything like that?
Yes. But I understand them keeping it close and not putting it out there because of the integrity of the investigation. But it is up to, and that's why you release these. You release these videos so more people see it and more people can help with identifying this person. If not the person themselves, like I said, if they had nothing to do with this.
You know, in a way, this kind of reminds me of the Idaho 4 murders, because if we wind back the clock to all of that, they were killed in November. And it was weeks and weeks of people saying, what is going on, Moscow PD? What are you doing? You're giving us a photo of a Hyundai Elantra. Okay, cool. When in reality, they were tracing down, they were tracking down Brian Koberger. In this case, the murders happened on December 30th. It's now January 9th at this point. People are like, what's going on? There were 2 kids left at home. Who killed these people? So to that point, is it possible that investigators already have their suspect? They already believe they think who did this, and they're just trying to gather all the evidence so that it can be upheld in court.
100%. And that's what I mean about the integrity of the investigation. Listen, I've been involved in them when you have to hold back on what's going out to the public because it's so sensitive and you don't want to rattle anyone they may have their eye on. Surveillances that might be taking place right now on somebody. We don't know. And we have to kind of give the law enforcement officers and that police department the benefit of the doubt with what they have right now. You know, it's great that the public wants to know everything, but there's a lot of cases they don't need to know what's going on at this particular moment because it could affect the investigation.
And I do wonder if that's why they're calling this person a person of interest rather than a suspect, because they don't want to show us their cards yet. Because again, the whole point of all of this is to bring this person or persons to justice in order to, you know, charge them with first-degree murder. I'm assuming that's the way that everybody's going to want to go. So we want to make sure that all this evidence can be maintained and is held up in court. And I guess that leads into my next question. Let's talk about the timeline. So far, investigators have said they narrowed down the attack to between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. on the morning of December 30th. How would they come up with that timeline?
Usually the rigor mortis that sets in, you know, after death, the temperature of the body. There may be other factors, again, that we don't know. You know, they may have a ring camera of someone, you know, so you narrow it down and you place it in there. But more than likely, it has to do with the condition of the body, the temperatures of the body, and the blood that is on there and the condition of the blood on the floor, you know, what it looks like and coagulating, you know, and all that. So that plays into a time frame of the time of death.
And now that we're talking about what happened inside of the house, more questions arise because we have 2 people who were killed in the very early morning hours of December 30th. But if you push it closer to 5 a.m., some people wake up at 5 a.m. to work out or even go to work, whatever it may be. There could be neighbors in the area who are waking up, could have seen something. Hopefully, if that's the case, they're reporting it. But talking about what's going on inside of the house, there was no sign of forced entry. It's not like we have jewelry that was stolen, TVs, computers, all things that you would see that would be stolen if this is a robbery. What does your gut say happened?
My gut, again, with no additional information, is it's somebody they know because of just all the conditions of it. There's no forced entry. The children are fine. The dog was fine. And the murder takes place in a bedroom. So either one of 2 things happened. Either someone entered and just snuck up on them in the bedroom. But again, knowing where the bedroom is. You know, did this individual take a time to walk through the entire house until he found the bedroom? I don't think so. I think he knew where the bedroom was and got them in that situation. Or he knocked on the door or whatever happened at the front door. One of them answered it and led them to the bedroom. You know, so one of those 2 things happened. I'm more on the first one with someone getting in and then surprising them in the bedroom. That's my first gut instinct in this. So, you know, you're talking again about someone who has knowledge of the layout of the bed of the house and where they were.
The way that you're talking about it and just reading the facts of the case as we know them right now, I tend to agree with you. It does seem like it was targeted. It's somebody who perhaps knew them, at the very least, the layout of the house. But something you mentioned, so harrowing, the fact that there were 2 kids there, thankfully left unharmed. Let me say that. That's a good point in this case, but the trauma that they likely sustained or will have for the rest of their lives, knowing that they were doors down from where their parents were killed. I mean, so I guess the first question is, why leave the kids? I'm glad that they are safe, but why do that?
Well, they don't deal with them because maybe it wasn't part of the plan. You know, they went in with a specific plan of taking one or both of them out, and that was it. There's no.
Yeah. If we don't hear any gunshots on any cameras or any reports from any of the neighbors hearing that they heard gunshots at between 2 o'clock and 5 o'clock in the morning there, then this very well possibly could have been a professional hit. I'm not going to take that off of the table, you know, or someone they knew, but then somebody they knew they had a silencer, you know, and the rage was more taken out on the husband than his wife. She was shot one time. He was shot 4 or 5 or 6 times. So was it someone snuck up, found him in the bedroom? They wake up, whatever. He shoots the woman, but then the husband gets up, maybe starts fighting with him. He shoots him a couple times. The husband was still on the bed. Is it possible they heard someone come in, the alarm went off, they go to get up, and the guy's already coming into the bedroom and offs them as they're trying to get out of the bed? That's possible too. And I'll tell you what, it is crazy trying to figure out all this stuff. I would say that I want to hear the police video of the camera of the police department that they have across the street from his house, and see if that picks up anything, and ringtones from his neighbors to see if you can hear any gunshots. You know, if they didn't know these people, if it wasn't a professional hit, then you got some crazy walking around in that town with a silencer, and he's killing people. That would explain the neighbor called saying that someone was banging on their door about the same time, but it was a different date, December 19th. So it's possible that neighborhood's got some idiot. And it's possible this killer might be a YouTuber. Might have been passing through the town, committing murders all over where he goes. It could have been someone from that area, committed the murders and then boot scoop boogied out of town and went to a close state or somewhere close or something. You know, it's possible. Keep that in mind too. Check out their social media. It could have been someone stalking them on social media or whatever. You know, I'm not gonna condemn some of these YouTubers that are saying that some of these guys that we've been watching on YouTubers are possibly serial killers. That's true. I know exactly who they're talking about. That is true. You know, they do think that, and I'm not going to say it's not possible. It's very possible. And all you could do is keep watching them people. That's all you really can do, you know. Other than that, this is horrible. My condolences to the family. We don't know what happened because we weren't there. All we could do is go on the information that they're giving us, and that might be wrong. All we could do is speculate and give our theories. That's all we can do. Sometimes you get it right, sometimes you don't. It just so happens we got it right. He's got pigeon toe, and it looked like that when we were looking at the footage the other day. And he's got a gait. One leg is pointed in at 1 foot, and it looks like he kind of, when he lifts and goes a step down, that foot comes in. So sometimes you get it right, sometimes you don't. And it's better to at least try than to let these people
need
get away.
to go after the children. So thankfully that took place. Even the dog, you know, didn't deal with the dog, which again is somewhat of a knowledge of the interior of the house, that there is a dog, and maybe they knew the dog wasn't an aggressive, dog and just kind of playful or whatever it might be. But it just seems over and over again, the more we look at it, a targeted murder.
You know that you're bringing up the dog. That's so interesting that you say that, because if I was asleep in the night, somebody came in my house, my dog would bark unless my dog recognized that person, in
Absolutely.
which case he'd run up to him, be happy, whatever it may be. So that's interesting. That could potentially lead to, this is somebody who's familiar with this dog, maybe familiar with the kids. I mean, I assume it's harder to kill a child than it is an adult, maybe, and that kind of leads into my next question too. The 1-year-old, I'm assuming, not a great witness in all of this as far as collecting information for investigators, but the 4-year-old could be. And if this suspect is someone that the 4-year-old recognized, I mean, they should be able to identify this person. So perhaps that's a reason. And I guess that leads into my next question. That's got to be so sensitive, talking to this 4-year-old child and asking them about what happened. How is that even done?
Yep, that's where psychologists come in, and their, level of expertise when it comes to this is second to none. They are experts at it. And if this child does have any information, it's going to take a while, because they are not going to rush it. They're going to take their time getting this. But it's not even Sierra identifying someone. I want to know from this child, if you can, again, stretch, but if you can, did anyone yell? Was anybody yelling? Was mommy and daddy yelling? Were they arguing with someone? Did you hear a pop or a bang, that startled you? Things like that also play a part in this investigation, because if it's an argument, yeah, mommy and daddy were yelling at someone. Okay, that leads again to knowing who you're dealing with and knowing the perpetrator. So all of that information is going to play a part in this if this child, they might have been asleep, and not heard a thing. And that could be one of the stumbling points in this as well, and not getting information from them. But they will ask her, for no doubt about it.
It's hard to have patience.
I don't know. A 9mm is pretty loud inside of a house. It echoes. Although a lot of things dampen the sounds, but I would imagine if there was 2 young kids sleeping in the dead of a night, and the next thing you know, you hear 7-8 rounds go off from a 9mm without a silencer on it, it's going to be pretty dang loud. You're going to hear it, And I would imagine, my opinion is, it's possible these little kids, God bless their little hearts, were woken up from the noise of that, or arguing or something. And it must have been horrible for these 2 little kids. It just must have been horrible. God bless their little hearts. But the 4-year-old, yes. Hate to say it, but they're going to have to interrogate them to see if, they might have been up. They might have been woken from yelling and screaming and went to go see what was going on and walked into this, possibly, or hid in the shadows as this was occurring and did hear the gunshots. We'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully they release, hopefully somebody, and we know there's cameras, tons of them in that area, and that will determine if we hear any gunshots at a certain time, and then after the gunshots, this guy appears, and no one else after that. No ringtones pick up anyone else walking in that area from 2 to 5. Then that's our guy. That's our guy. And hopefully the police walk around and knock on every single door with a ringtone and get all the footage. And hopefully they hear gunshots at a certain time. And hopefully this guy appears. And if it ain't that guy, Then them cameras pick someone else up after that guy comes out of that alley. And then that's your guy. If it ain't the first guy that come out of the alley or that area walking or even driving a car, then the first guy that you got is the guy. And find out who he is. You know, that's all you can do. And I agree with this guy. You know, it's just horrible.
In cases like this, but we have to when we're talking about kids. And the way that you brought it up, things coming out over a long point of time, it reminded me of the Elizabeth Smart case. Her sister was in the bedroom when Elizabeth Smart was abducted. And it wasn't until months later when her sister said, oh yeah, I remember who it was. I recognize this person. So maybe it just takes longer for them to think of these things. Also the psychology and going through and talking about this traumatic incident. I mean, my thoughts are with these kids. They've got a long road ahead of them. My next question, though, is about a 911 call from a home nearby, a neighbor. This happened just a couple of days before the murders happened. What do you make of all of that? That somebody was apparently trying to get into this neighbor's house. It sounded like they were smacking on the door and then this person left, whatever. Is this related or just a coincidence that something weird was going on in that neighborhood?
not to throw more into this, but we don't know. And
Right.
that's the bad part of this. I am very concerned, and I don't understand that you have a woman calling and you can panic. You can hear the 911 call. She's scared. She's panicked about someone knocking on her door at 2:30 in the morning. And the 911 operator again, like, well, did you ask them what they wanted? Well, no, you're not going to do that because you're not going to let someone know you're home and maybe by yourself. And then the 911 operator just says, well, if they come back, call me. I don't get that.
I don't get that either. What is going on with our justice system? Let me tell you, folks, what my theory is. The cartels, the bad guy, and everybody has infiltrated our justice system. If you ain't got people there handling the situation to send a patrol car out into that area, look for someone walking around in this area on the streets. They're banging up. Why would he answer the door if it's a woman? She's by herself, 2:00 in the morning. Someone's banging on her door real loud. She seems scared. She can't see anybody. Why would you not send a car out to look in that area for anyone walking around or in the bushes or anything? I have no idea. Ladies and gentlemen, we're putting the system on trial. And this, I agree with this guy. How does this happen? When you got a police camera there, you got a police camera across the street from the house. And this is a neighbor that lived a couple houses down from Dr. Spencer. Same time, 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and you got people, you got someone in that neighborhood, and I'd lock down the whole neighborhood. You got somebody in there around there is not right.
They dispatch a radio car, police car to the scene. Now you have the opportunity to speak to someone. Why are you here? Who are you? What are you doing? All that. Now, let's say on a stretch, this has something to do with the murders. Could you have just prevented it because now you're stopping the possible future killer? We don't know. And that's why every situation has to be checked out. As simple as it is of someone knocking on my door, banging on someone's door at 2:30 in the morning is not a natural act. That doesn't happen. So you should be.
No, it don't. You are correct. Someone banging on her door a couple days before the murders at 2:30 in the morning. What does that tell you? Either somebody is crazy trying to get into your house or someone is in danger. What do? You call the police. Somebody is knocking on my door pretty loud. Send a police car. What do we see? Well, this could have been, and I'm just going to say this, I'm just going to throw it out here on this channel. You heard it here first. It very well could have been this young lady. And if it might not have been Mo, but it might have been the girl that called a year before. Right? It could have been a woman from a party they were having or someone in that area in danger. It could have been Mo. Maybe. We don't know. Now, if they do their job and go around knocking on the door on December 19th, asking people for footage in that area on their ringtones, they might be able to see if it was the same guy or if it was a woman that banged on the Dr. Spencer's neighbor's door.
Dispatching a car to check that out to see who this individual is, where they live, who they are, if they're from the neighborhood, a whole array of things you could be asking this individual. But they chose not to and just tell this woman, well, if they come back, call us again.
Right. And I mean, if we were able to have had an investigator there who could narrow someone out or zero them out rather and say like, oh, it was just our neighbor. He was drunk. He went to the wrong house. Okay, great. Then we don't have to worry about this 911 call. We don't have to even be wasting time talking about it. So that's where it's hard that maybe the resources weren't allocated or nobody was sent out. There's one more question I want to ask about too. A separate 911 call. Originally, it was reported that it came out of the Tepes house months before the murders. We're talking, I believe it was April, so almost a year ago at this point. But anyway, initially it was reported it came, from Monique herself calling 911. Her brother has gone on podcasts and said, okay, that wasn't her. She just doesn't talk like that. It's not whatever. So what do you make of this 911 call? It could have been Monique. Maybe it came from somebody at a party at the house. We don't really know the details. Is it something that investigators should look into?
Well, I was actually on that show when the brother was on explaining that 911 call. So I actually got to hear it firsthand from Rob when he mentioned it. And I mean, emphatically said that was not Monique. It was a person who was at the party who was having a problem with their partner and had an argument. And she was actually outside the house when she went to call 911, then hung up and they called her back. But it wasn't the victim. But here's what it does. And this is something that the brother-in-law Rob went into, that they did have a lot of get-togethers and a lot of parties that their friends would come to. And they would run later into the night. So again, who has access to that locking code that's on their door? I said it on another show. If I'm having a party, I'm giving my friends the code so I don't have to keep answering the door as guests are coming in. That's just a natural thing. So interviews are going to.
That's the most stupidest thing you folks could do is give your code. I'm having a big party, maybe 50, 60 people. Just give them all your code. The most stupidest thing you can ever do is to give anybody your code except family that you trust or somebody. Don't ever give these people all your code. Well, I'm gonna have about 20 people over tonight or whatever gathering, or just give them your codes so they can walk. Don't ever give your codes or keys out to anybody. Most stupidest thing you could do.
Show, who had access, who had that number, who had access. Who would go to these parties? Was it the same people all the time? Were there any add-ons, plus ones that came that weren't there often? So, and what went on at these parties? So those are part of this investigation that's going to be interesting to hear about.
I feel like I came into this interview saying, I have so many questions. Let's get some answers. And talking to you, I feel like I have even more questions because there are so many routes that we have to go down and try to see what happened. I'm hoping there's some sort of resolution soon, that we have some sort of answers, and maybe Columbus PD knows more than they're letting on. I'm sure that they do. Anyway, Tom Smith, thank you for coming on and breaking down what we know right now. And hopefully we have good news in this case soon.
Yeah, absolutely, Sarah. Anytime. Thank you.
As we said throughout this entire
All right, there you go, folks. Folks, make sure you go check out Miss Scandal channel. I posted it in the chat, and I do believe in the description. Make sure you go check out Court TV and Vinny and all the nice ladies over there at Court TV. We can go for hours of what happened, what our scenario is, our theories. We can go on and on. But the bottom line is we need gunshots at a certain time, or autopsy report showing that these people died at this time, we believe, and within 5-10 minutes of death, we got this guy coming out of the alley. Or we need footage of gunshots, and we don't see no one else coming around that house, coming out, except for this guy coming out the alley. So that's what we're waiting on here on this channel. Now, like I said, it could be a random dude that lives in that area. And that would explain the other people getting knocks on the door or whatever. It could have been Monique running from something. Maybe it could have been whoever called a year before. They were having a party in there the same time, and the woman ran and knocked on the door. Now, why wouldn't she answer? Well, because she didn't want to give her location out if somebody was looking for her. Let's say they had a party and one of these ladies ran to another house to bang on the door, but she was being followed by somebody, her boyfriend or something. She didn't want, yeah, that's possible. It's very possible. Anything is possible. So I would check that out. And, you might have to look into something. Hello, Ms. Fox. Thanks for timing out that one person. I'm looking at their account right now. You got to take that in consideration. Now, we know this much. Spencer said he had a lot of crazy friends. That's true. But Monique's sister had a crazy boyfriend or husband or whatever that, it could have been something like that. The guy retaliates against the whole family. It could have been. It could have been professional. It could have been just a psycho walking around, whatever it is. I'm a little disappointed that the next door neighbor called a couple days before and they never sent anyone out. And that's what I would suggest that the police department does in Ohio is on December 19th at 2:00 in the morning. Did you see anyone else walking around from that area on the streets? And I would be looking at that footage of that call, of that dispatch call. Why weren't police dispatched to that area from a call at 2:30 in the morning of someone banging violently on a door? Why wasn't anyone sent out to check on the streets? It ain't nothing to send a patrol officer. Hey, can you drive around this area on these blocks and see if you see anybody walking around in the bushes or in between the houses? We had to call someone banging violently. It would have been nothing. Why they didn't, I don't know. It's just horrible. It's horrible. All right, folks, that concludes this video. What a great video Miss Scandal did. Go check that channel out. I think Miss ATS News goes live tonight. make sure you check her channel out tonight, 8 o'clock. Miss Debbie Fox, thanks for coming in and timing out Vincent. I didn't even see him. I'm looking at another screen. All right, you folks be safe. God bless. YouTube, I'm not happy with you either. I've been cursing F YouTube, FL. Not mad. I'm just upset. That's all. 30 subs disappear. I don't. You have a great night, folks. We will be back with more information. We are waiting on the police footage that they collect. When the police come out and say, this is what we got, then we'll know it's golden. Till then, we'll just keep making content. Have a great night, folks. God bless everyone. Lock your doors and windows. Don't give people all kinds of keys to your house and the codes to your security system. Jesus. And if you got a security system, don't go to bed and not engage that alarm system, and don't leave your doors open or unlocked. God, I wish we had more drones, more armed, unmanned vehicles driving around. We're getting there. We're working on it. We've got to bring it to Congress and Senate. Have a great day, folks. God bless everybody, and we'll be back.